life, happy journey. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Walking the Path. My name is John Jacob Mubarak, and I am so grateful to be here with you on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and all over the place on Rhythmia's page, on my page. I'm so happy. Hey, everybody. So grateful that you're joining. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Um, I always like to talk a little bit about first, before we get into the topic today, when the topic is the Ukraine, mathematics, and emergence. I thought that was a pretty cool topic myself. Um, and it comes from a client of mine asking me, we were in session and he had a heartfelt, like, what do we make of the Ukraine? How do we deal with it as spiritual beings? And so, um, this came through during the session, and I spent some time yesterday writing and thinking about it, and I wanted to share with you guys. But before I do that, while people are coming in, it's so great to see everybody streaming in. Thank you so much. Welcome, welcome. I want to remind you what's going on at Rhythmia every week, what's available for you at Rhythmia every week, which is transformation, releasing trauma, returning to a state of wholeness, returning to a state of original bliss, forgiving the unforgivable, and healing mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And why does that happen at Rhythmia so successfully every week? Because it's a very specific combination of healing modalities in a very specific way that has brought this use of plant medicine together, ancient traditions of plant medicine, modern techniques blended together, that cause this thing called a soul merger, where we come back to ourselves, where we come back to the wholeness that who we are. And it's from a state of wholeness that we heal. It's from because the consciousness that heals is the consciousness that sees wholeness. It's from a state of wholeness that we know what the next thing to do is. It's from a state of wholeness that we know who the right person is. So that's what's going on at Rhythmia. That's why it's so profound and powerful. So if you have any questions about Rhythmia, call the number. Our agents are standing by to answer any questions for you. Now, welcome everybody. Let me take a minute here and just say hi to all these beautiful beings. Sherry, hey, Dorota, always a pleasure. Donna from Calgary, Candace, my sister. So great to have you all. Colette and wow, Mark and Bells and Self-Love and MDC Happiness. Thank you all so much for joining. Keep on. We're going to have a great, I'm so excited to tell you what's going on today. All right. What's in my mind and heart about the Ukraine, mathematics, and emergence. So my client asked me, like, what do we do? How do we process this? He was worried. He had family in the area. And, I want to acknowledge, first of all, that a great deal of my thinking around this comes from just being around Reverend Michael for so many years and working in his office and talking to him about stuff like this. So I want to acknowledge him in this. Belinda, great to see you. So the nation state system as it stands, the nation state system is basically an extension of the ego, right? What is the ego? A healthy ego. A healthy ego is an ego that is confident, has self-confidence, that does not require the domination or submission of another in order to feel that self-confidence. It's not a zero-sum game. A healthy ego is understanding, has compassion, is supportive, has boundaries, has good boundaries, understands what their needs are, knows how to ask for them, knows how to be in communication with others, open, honest, loving communication, direct and honest communication. These are all hallmarks of a healthy ego. An unhealthy ego is sort of like the Lord of the Flies. Remember Lord of the Flies? Those kids get stranded and it turns back to this state of nature, right? Hey, Michael. Hey, Debbie. Hey, Carmen. Hey, Leah. Thank you so much. So the state of nature, these kids get shipwrecked on an island and they turn into what we would consider now immature masculinity or immature ego, the need to dominate, to require absolute submission in order to confirm your submission to the other individual, the need to dominate, the need to control, the need to take and exclude. These are all aspects of an unhealthy ego. Well, these are all aspects of what's going on in a nation state. I mean, any nation state, including the United States, all states have boundaries, right? So how do we have healthy boundaries? It's just an extension of the ego. Healthy boundaries, healthy masculinity, healthy femininity, mature masculinity, mature femininity, or unhealthy boundaries, immature masculine, immature feminine. So that's the first piece, is to realize that the nation state system is an extension of the ego. It's an extension of this egoic structure of separation and division. Now, and in this particular situation, it's an unhealthy, immature expression of ego, right? Complete domination and submission is required in order to take what's mine, right? There's something that's mine and that's not yours, and that's on one level an expression. It's the last vestige of the external expression of the ego. Now, that's the way it is right now, up until now. We're going to talk about changing the consciousness in a moment, and that's emergence and mathematics. So, okay, so here we have this expression of the ego, and here's the other thing that we need to think about in terms of the Ukraine. It's that, you know, the how do I want to say this? The aspect of holding something in our awareness for that thing to emerge. Okay, here's the piece, that if all of the spiritual principle is that what we are currently experiencing right now, individually and collectively, thank you, I got it back, I got off for a second. The thing that we are talking about here is our experience right now, the present moment. I did a Facebook Live on the inevitable present moment. So the inevitable present moment right now is inevitable. It's inevitable. So what's happening in Ukraine right now is inevitable. Why? Because this moment now is a condensation of our previously held opinions, thoughts, judgments, points of view, and perspectives. We know the principle that where our attention goes, our energy flows. Where our attention goes, our energy flows. So this now moment, what we're experiencing right now individually and collectively, is a reflection of our individual and collective previously held points of view, perspectives, opinions, judgments, beliefs, experiences, etc., that brought us here. It's a condensation. It's like a crystallization. What happens when something condenses? It's like water is out here and it condenses into a condensate, right? Or a crystallization. So this is the inevitable now moment. Now, if this now moment is dependent or is an effect of our previously held thoughts and beliefs, then the next moment will be an effect of our current thoughts and beliefs. This is where we have power. This is what our responsibility is in a situation like the Ukraine. Now, so there's one thing that we can do individually. I want to jump back for a moment and talk about politics. I used to think that being the news, that I used to be a political junkie. I watched all the news. I was ready to have my talking points ready to argue with the other side, right? I used to think that was political activism. That's not. That's political spectatorship. Being a political spectator is watching, like you're watching a sports game. If you're watching a soccer game or a football game or a basketball game or whatever game you're watching it. You're not participating in it. You're not active in it. You're passive. You're watching. When we're watching the news and staying up on all our talking points and we're not being politically active. We're being political spectators. And we get just about as much out of it as being a spectator, right? If you want to be politically active, all politics is local. If I want to be politically active, all politics is local. That means get involved at the local level. Join your town council. Meet your councilman. Get a group of neighbors together that are like-minded, that have the same concerns and issues and that make a difference in your life right where you are. That's the purpose of democracy. Political activism means that you're just active in your environment. You're active in your community. I'm doing the things that are called upon me to do, so that you can make an impact on the things that affect you in your daily life. So, for example, here in Guanacaste right now in Costa Rica, there's lots of fires, and we're organizing a group of people to go support the firefighters and take water and food and do we can help. During COVID, there was a lack of food for some of the local people. We organized a group, got food, distributed it, right? This is what it's called being involved. We got to do that. And we don't think that watching the news and being up to date on every minutia in the Ukraine is being involved. If we want to be active or involved in the Ukraine, we can we can contact non-governmental institutions, see if there's relief funds that are available. We can organize prayer groups. You can participate in a heart coherence group, global coherence group for joy and for peace. Right? It makes a difference. Now I'm going to get back to that point I was talking about earlier about how the inevitable present moment, that this moment is inevitable, and that it's a condensate of our previously held beliefs, and that if we want to change the next moment, then we have the responsibility, our ability to respond to the present moment is the only power we have. Viktor Frankl says the only power we have is our ability to respond to the present moment. So if this now moment is a condensate of the past, then we have a responsibility to see what is emerging in the future. What is emerging in the future? That is I'm looking at this guy, Sam. You're telling me I'm an asshole. Okay, brother. I'm just going to thank you. Okay, great. So, anyway, I don't know what's going on. So here's where we get to do our inner work. So one thing, if you want to be politically active, go get involved in the community. There are things to do. There are places you can serve. Now we can also do our inner work collectively and individually to hold for the emergence of peace in the Middle East, emergence of peace in the Ukraine, the emergence of peace in China. There's emergence of peace everywhere, right? That is what we can hold in our awareness. We can hold that. And if this now moment is a condensate of our previously held beliefs, then by holding that, we're midwifing the emergence of that. Now, here's a spiritual principle that is really important to think about this. It's called vertical time versus linear time. Now, vertical time means that, or linear time is this sort of like, well, this happened, this happened, this happened. It's this cause and effect Newtonian idea of time for, beginning, middle, end. Vertical time is it's all happening now. Everything is happening now. There's no past, there's no future, there's just now. And when we get to the future, it'll be now. So it's just now, right? That's the idea of vertical time, that it's all happening at the same time. So in that idea, and we're going to take that idea and loop it back together with the idea of what's emerging. With that idea, we can say, well, how do we understand that it's all happening now? For example, I'm going to give you an example. This is from my friend and brother, Panache Desai. I want to acknowledge him for this example. I loved it when he said it. Imagine you're on the ground floor during a hurricane. You're on the ground floor and there's a hurricane. It's chaotic. Everything is totally crazy, right? And there's no order, there's no harmony, there's no balance, there's no nothing. Now, so that's ground floor. Now let's say you're in a airplane above. You're in the hurricane flying, and you look down, and you can start to see the rows of houses and the grids of the street of the city. You can see the trees in order and line. You can start to see there's some order, right? On the ground floor, you couldn't see the order. It was just chaos. And then on the airplane, you can start to see some order. And now imagine that you're in the space station looking at the Earth. And what do you see? Do you see any borders? Do you see the United States and Mexico, or do you just see brown and green and blue and white swirls? In fact, you even see the swirl of the hurricane. It looks almost peaceful, harmonious, this beautiful blue and white and green and brown marble in this background with studded stars like diamonds, right? So you just see peace. From that perspective, you don't see anything going on in the ground. You don't see the hurricane. You don't see the war. You don't see the murder, the rape, any of that. You just see beauty and peace and harmony. So ground floor, airplane, space station, it's all happening. Chaos, disorder, order, balance, peace, and harmony are all happening at the same time. That's the idea of vertical time. Now let's tie that back into the idea that we have the power to midwife or husband the next present moment. We have the power to co-create with spirit, with the life force itself, our next experience individually and collectively. That's why it is imperative that each of us have a spiritual practice, that we're doing our own work. If I have to do my own work, my own meditation, my own prayer in order to be at peace within myself, if I can't end the civil war that's going on within me, right? My own inner civil war. If I can't end my own inner civil war, all the shit that I say about myself, all the self-talk, all the rumination, all the lack, the limitation, the judgment, the opinion, if I can't end that in me, how am I expecting to see peace in the world, right? So we have to do this. We have to do this on our own inner work, so that we can see it in the world. There's another practice that we can do. It's called Tibetan Tonglen practice. And that is, you get into meditation and you start to breathe in all the pain and suffering. If you're concerned about the Ukraine, if you're concerned about the Middle East, if you're concerned about the homeless people in your own neighborhood, you start to breathe in that pain and suffering, and you exhale peace, compassion, joy, healing. And this is your meditation. You're bringing it in, and you are using yourself as a purification filter and sending out good love into the world. This is a beautiful way to bring compassion into your lives, into our lives. It's a beautiful meditation. So there's something we can do ourselves, our own inner work, that makes a difference for the inevitable present moment. Because now I'm holding, instead of holding fear, doubt, worry, oh my God, it's the beginning of World War III. I'm accepting this pain and suffering. I'm sending out peace and love. I'm beginning to engender compassion in my body and in my soul. I'm holding the idea of peace and harmony and love, a world that works for everybody. I'm holding the idea of a place where everybody has enough to eat. I'm holding the idea in my awareness of a place where everybody has a place to lay their head. I am holding a world in my awareness of a place where nobody's running from bombs and has clean, fresh water. All right. I'm holding a place in my awareness where we care about each other. Now, that's being an active agent for what is seeking to emerge. Because right now, no matter what the current circumstance is, war, drought, pestilence, whatever the circumstance is, however chaotic it may seem right here on the ground floor, there's order and there's harmony seeking to emerge. It's hovering in our awareness, waiting for the right conditions to emerge in our awareness. We have to be the ones that bring it, that anchor it, right? The revolution, Gil Scott Heron said the revolution will not be televised. Well, I got to tell you, the revolution is not going to be on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. The revolution, my brothers and sisters, will take place in consciousness. That's right. It'll take place in our awareness. For the consciousness that heals is the consciousness that sees wholeness everywhere all the time. That's the consciousness that heals. So we're talking about, one, being up to date on the news is not politically active. That's political spectatorship. If you want to be politically active, get involved in your local community. Do things that make a difference for the people and yourself in your community. You want to be involved in relief efforts in the Ukraine, in donating money, in taking part in global coherence, bringing groups of people together to meditate. This makes a huge difference. Huge difference. There's studies that show they actually did this where they took groups of meditators, and there's a ratio of the number of meditators versus the general population. And they would take, I think it's like 10%. If you can get 10% of the population to meditate, and they brought like a group of people into war-torn areas or areas that had high crime, high poverty, they'd have them meditate in that ratio, 10 to 1, right? 10% to the whole. And for the week that they were in those areas meditating, crime went down, rape, murder, domestic violence, all those things went down. When they left and moved to the other area, they came back up. Meditation has an effect on the field. Meditation has an effect on the consciousness. So I want to just, I'm so sorry. I've been trying to keep all this stuff in my head, and I haven't been looking at the comments. I'm going to go back and look at the comments, but I want to finish this topic. Thank you all so much. I'm so grateful for you being here. So this was coming through and I wanted to share it. So political activism is getting involved on the ground floor level of what's happening in our neighborhood and maybe doing things as well for the greater community. And then the next thing that we can do in order to midwife the present moment, the inevitable present moment, husband, the next moment, is to bring ourselves into an awareness of our own inner work and our own civil war. Stop hating ourselves. Stop cutting ourselves off from ourselves. Stop belittling ourselves and berating ourselves and all the things that we do, that negative self-talk, that rumination, right? Work on that. Heal that within us. And if you want to heal the world, heal yourself. That's the work that we can do with our meditation, with our prayer, with our movement, all the good things that we can do. And then finally, let's not get caught up in circumstance, right? Things are not always what they appear to be. That's why this moment, this now moment, is a condensation of the past. It has nothing to do with the future. It has to do with the past. We're about the future. We're about the now moment, and we're going to create that now moment by being right here, right now, and knowing that something wonderful is emerging, something wonderful is happening in the Ukraine. There's something wonderful. It's a natural law that disorder is always the precursor to order. Chaos is always the precursor to peace. It's a mathematical equation called the Kurimoto equation. The Kurimoto equation is an undergraduate physics experiment, and its basic presumption, its basic statement is that all systems, biological or physical, seek homeostasis. All systems, biological or physical, seek balance and order. So when it's windy in your area right now, there's lots of wind in Costa Rica right now, and it's fanning the fires. When it's windy, that means there's a high pressure system somewhere and a low pressure system another place. And the natural system of the earth is balancing out the high and low pressure by the wind. It's moving from one area to the next, right? It can look chaotic. It can look violent at sometimes, but it's just balance and order seeking to emerge. So if we know that about the physical world, we can know that about the spiritual world, we can know that about the material world, we can know that about the mental world, that all systems, physical, biological, seek homeostasis, seek balance, seek order, seek harmony, that peace, order, harmony, balance, love, beauty, joy, excellence, creativity are seeking to emerge in the Ukraine and worldwide, even in American politics. That's seeking to emerge. We have to be the ones that hold a little bit of that possibility in our awareness in order for that to emerge. It's called spiritual alchemy. Now, what's alchemy? If you recall, alchemy is a precursor to chemistry. Actually, alchemy is a precursor to chemistry, and it's the idea was that the alchemist could convert base metals like lead into noble metals like gold. But in order to convert the base metal, you had to have a little bit of the noble metal in order to convert it. So that's the idea of converting lead into gold. We're going to make it spiritual alchemy. We're going to convert the heavy leaden fear and worry and doubt and not enoughness and lack and limitation and fear mongering and suppression and all that yucky, heavy stuff that's going on in all over the world right now. We're going to take that and we're going to transform it into the golden light of spiritual liberation, into the golden light of peace, love, and beauty, joy, harmony, balance, excellence, creativity. This is what we're going to do. And we're going to do that by doing our work, by doing our inner work, our meditation, our prayer, by being loving in our hearts, by being loving to ourselves. We just have to have the faith of a mustard seed. That's what it means. A faith of a mustard seed. A mustard seed is really tiny, but inside that seed is a 40, 50-foot plant, right? Inside that tiny, tiny, tiny little seed, the smallest seed. That's the idea. All you need is a tiny, 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 tiny bit of hope, a tiny, 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 tiny bit of peace, a tiny bit of love, a tiny bit of harmony to hold that while you're doing our work, while we're doing our work in the now moment, knowing that we're not getting caught up in appearances, because what we're experiencing now is just a condensate of the past. So we're going to take what we're experiencing now, and we're going to know that what's seeking to emerge, because it's all happening at the same time. Chaos, order, peace are all happening at the same time. So we're going to hold the emergence of peace, just a little bit, just the faith of a mustard seed, just a tiny bit of peace in our hearts. That's all it takes for the emergence of that to see. And the more of us that do that, that's called global coherence. This is our work. This is why it's so important that if you can, you must meditate. If you can, you must pray. It's our obligation. We have to, because there are people right now that are too concerned about running from bombs and finding a place to stay and getting food for their kids. They can't meditate right now. And we have the privilege. We have the ability. So it's our responsibility to do it, to hold this in our hearts, that something wonderful is seeking to emerge. Not get caught up in the fear mongering of the media, not get caught up in all the worry, doubt, and fear, or the political, they should be doing that and they're not doing this. Peace. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. I don't care if you're United States or Russia. It doesn't matter. We're all human, and we all want peace. We all want harmony. We all want to live. We all want our kids to be safe. We all want to be safe. We all want enough to eat. We all want clean water, right? All for everybody. Wow. So let me look back at these comments. You guys are awesome for making these comments. Thank you so much. Let's see here. Wow, you guys were really cruising here. The inevitable present moment, brood of the spirit poured out. Let's show this. Piscean spiked Aquarian dawn. Woo! Oh boy, girl. Leslie, you are going all in on that one. Let's see. Oh, thanks, Dahlia. Debbie, Ballard, Belinda, thank you. Lisa and Max, thank you. Peter, hey brother, miss you too. So glad you're doing that. Peter, Debbie, Donna, thank you guys. Vanessa has a good comment here. People want to save everybody but themselves. Do you think it's normal to reaction if some isn't ready to face their own chaos in their lives to fully focus on other people, world affairs? How can we help out our brothers and sisters? Well, this is a really good question, Vanessa. And here's the thing. Everybody's on their royal road. This is where we get to trust God, right? This is where we get to trust in spirit. For those of you on Instagram, Vanessa asked, how can I help people who aren't ready who are outwardly projected, looking at outward circumstances instead of doing their own inner work? Well, the fact is, you just got to love them for who they are, just as they are, without opinion and judgment, because judgment and opinion and condemnation never liberate. The only thing that liberates is acceptance. And so as you accept them for just who they are, like we were all there, we're all going to do we're all doing our best. And we just have to trust that divine providence, that someday that they're on their royal road and to that royal indwelling, that secret place within us where we know love, we know God, we know peace inside, that we'll all eventually get there. So we just have to know that for them. And for us too, right? We're all on the road. So the best thing that you can do to help them out is to see them as whole, to see that they're on their road, and to trust in providence, trust in the universe, trust in spirit, trust in God, whatever phrase, wordology works for you. So that was a great comment. Thanks, Vanessa. Great question. Debbie, let's see. Donna, thank you for the timely topic. Thank you so much. Belinda, let's see what else is going on here. Thank you guys. Hey, Joe, Sherry, thank you always. All my Instagram folks over here, thank you all so much for joining in. I just am so grateful that I get to do this. Thanks, Jerry. I'm really grateful that I get to do this. I really love it. And I love being with you guys. You can always direct message me at John Jacob Mubarak on Instagram or Facebook. You can go to my website, johnjacobmubarak.com. There's some free meditations there for you if you want to check out a meditation. And if you have any questions about spiritual counseling or breath work, I'm just so excited to have this opportunity. I'm wishing you so much love, so much joy, so much peace. Remember, it's all happening now. It's all happening now. So no matter what the circumstance, we can say, I remember vertical time. There's some peace here. Let me see it. There's some harmony here. Let me see it. There's some joy here. Let me see it. There's some abundance here. Let me see it. There might be a bunch of shit right now, but if there's so much shit here, there's got to be a pony somewhere. That's what. All right, y'all. So much love. Thank you so much, Jeff, brother Jeff. See you in Peru. If you're interested in a trip to Peru, let me know. A men's trip. We're doing a men's retreat to Peru. Direct message me. Sending you all much love and light, peace, and richest blessings.